Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
We're expecting more information today about two plane crashes that happened just several hours and 50 miles apart. Federal investigators are working to figure out what caused those planes to go down.
And the sun's trying to burn through some clouds this morning. It looks lovely here in the gardens behind the building. Once we get into the weekend, we'll likely see a better chance for rain. I'll show you the timeline. And it's All-American Week at Fort Bragg. The week-long celebration is underway right now. WRAL's Gilbert Bays has been there all morning long. We'll have another live report coming up from him. It's really exciting. Thanks for joining us on your Monday. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. It's great to have you along here as we get our Monday started. We have some sunshine out there. We had a decent sunrise. Yeah, calmer week ahead of us. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now.
Our weather is nice and quiet until we get to Friday. We're going to talk about what things are looking like for the holiday weekend coming up. It's a cool start this morning, though. This is a live look at Pinehurst Resort and Country Club. I see all these ladies out here in long sleeves, and it is that cool out there this morning. Definitely shorts, but we're in the long sleeves and jackets. Our temperature right now is 60 degrees in the Triangle area. We do warm up nicely, but we are starting with some cooler temperatures this morning. Visibility is looking good now. We had some moisture in the atmosphere this morning with some low cloud cover and patchy fog, but that's beginning to lift. It is 61 in South Hill and Rocky Mount, 58 in Southern Pines and in Clinton. So those temperatures are starting to climb a bit. At lunchtime, upper 70s. We'll see highs in the low 80s this afternoon under mostly sunny skies. And of course, we have some lovely weather until we get to the weekend. I'll walk you through the Futurecast timeline for Saturday's showers coming up. Ryan.
It is just about 8:02 right now. We are watching a crash on the northern side of Wake County on Highway 50 or Creedmoor Road. It's just north of Norwood Road. We are seeing some very heavy delays on that southbound side of 50 coming in from Highway 98. If you're coming in from that area around Falls Lake, consider using Six Forks Road as a good alternate route this morning to get into North Raleigh. We're working to get some details about that crash. Apparently, it's a crash with injuries. On the south side of downtown Raleigh, a report of a couple of crashes, and this is likely the same crash, just getting reported in two spots. One at Hammond Road and Hoke Street, the other on Person Street at Hoke Street, where the Hammond Road splits in two there. Allow some extra time heading through that area as they work to get that cleared. Also on the north side of Raleigh, watch for a crash at Capitol Boulevard at Spring Forest Road. Earlier, we were seeing some southbound delays there, but it looks like traffic's starting to ease up a little bit in that area. Just getting reports of a crash on the south side of Durham, working to pinpoint exactly where that is. I can tell you right now, we're not seeing big delays on I-40 through Durham, so that's good news. Other major approaches into Raleigh are looking all right. A little bit of a slowdown coming in from Apex on US 1 northbound. Still tracking some delays on 440 westbound from 87, especially out toward the Capitol Boulevard area. About a 6-minute delay overall heading toward Wade Avenue. And then on the south side of Raleigh on 40 westbound, about a 3-minute slowdown from 440 toward US 1.
Today, we expect federal investigators to provide an update on two plane crashes that happened just hours apart. The first one happened in Orange County near Rougemont. 2.5 hours later, another plane crash happened about 50 miles away up in Warren County on the Virginia border. WRAL's Laura Levine is live in Orange County this morning with what we expect when investigators reveal what they found in those reports. Laura?
Jeff, good morning. We could learn some very important information when the preliminary reports come out today. Now, that plane landed in between some trees in a wooded area off of NC 157 in Rougemont. We do know that the pilot on board died in the crash. Get a look at this Sky 5 video showing you a better excuse me.
Laura, I'm going to give you a break right there for a quick second, but this is video from Sky 5 as we see there. The plane crashed about 12:15 yesterday afternoon right next to an open field there, and through the trees you see the blue tarp there covering some of the wreckage. Federal Aviation Administration tells us it's a single-engine Beechcraft 35. And then just over 50 miles away from there, Warren County, another plane crash sent a person to the hospital with severe burns. That one happened about 2:45 yesterday afternoon. The FAA says a single-engine Cessna 182 crashed while it was leaving from Nocarva Airport in Macon. And still a lot of questions remain out of these two crashes. Not clear where that plane was going or where it was coming from. FAA spokesperson says that the preliminary reports are usually available the next business day, so we expect to get some more information on that today.
A Harnett County deputy indicted in a crash that killed a husband and wife is scheduled to appear in court today. Deputy Kevin Letarte faces a charge of involuntary manslaughter in the death of Brian and Patricia Finch. Investigators say Letarte was chasing Jimmy White Jr. on March 3rd when the deputy crashed into the couple. A woman who says she saw the couple seconds before the crash happened spoke only to WRAL.
I actually remember looking at their face and they were laughing, and then they actually looked kind of like a split second to make sure that they could go through, and they went, and then that cop come out of nowhere.
An attorney representing the Finches says a wrongful death lawsuit is possible. Deputy Letarte said through his lawyer he's saddened by the loss of life. As for White, he's facing felony charges. He's also expected to be in court later today.
Happening now, it is All-American Week, and it is underway at Fort Bragg, a week-long celebration to give paratroopers a chance to celebrate their service and remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. WRAL's Gilbert Bays joins us live this morning from Post, where the festivities are in full swing. Gilbert, good morning. This is an exciting time for tens of thousands of paratroopers.
That's exactly right, Jeff. And as you can see, Long Street here at Fort Bragg is open. Traffic's back here. But that wasn't the case just about 30 minutes ago when 18,000 paratroopers were running up and down Long Street Road to kick off All-American Week. Let's go to the videotape and show you what we're talking about. This is how the paratroopers celebrate every year. We had COVID, and that eliminated it for 1 year. And then we had a lot of the paratroopers who were deployed during the Gulf War, and they had to cancel it. But now we're back in full swing. 18,000 paratroopers kicking off All-American Week. It's a start of festivities to celebrate the legacy of the 82nd Airborne Division. It's America's Guard of Honor. When the president dials 911, Fort Bragg answers that phone, and they ship out members of the 82nd Airborne Division. Not only do we have the paratroopers and their families celebrating this time, we've got paratroopers, former paratroopers, retirees who come back to show their commitment to this unit.
It's pride. You know, you got to take pride in what you do in order to perform in this unit. You know, if you don't perform, you're out the door.
If you don't perform, you're out the door. Out the door of that airborne airplane, jumping into someplace all around the world. These guys take a lot of pride in what they do. As a matter of fact, Jeff, we talked to one guy who came all the way from California to be here just so he could see his son run in this run and take part in All-American Week. So if you have access to Fort Bragg, if you can get on post, all the events are free. There's going to be sporting competitions that will continue throughout the day, and the induction into the All-American Hall of Fame and the Hall of Heroes that's going to happen later on, a memorial service, and then everything is going to come to a culmination with the Pass and Review, the division review. That's going to be taking place on Thursday. Just a great time here at Fort Bragg. The last time I'll be able to say that, because next year I'll say a great time at Fort Liberty.
Yeah, exactly, with the name change coming along here. So history in the making right there. I know it's a special week for you as a decorated service member as well. Gilbert Bays, live in Fayetteville. Thank you.
The Carolina Hurricanes are facing a huge uphill climb in the Eastern Conference Final. Tonight, they face an all-important Game 3 in Florida. The Canes are in a 2-games-to-none hole in the series after losing both Games 1 and 2 in overtime at PNC Arena. Coach Rod Brintamore says he doesn't expect to make many changes, but bounces need to go the Canes' way. Puck drop for tonight's game in Florida is 8 o'clock. It's on TNT. And WRAL's Casey Hintz and Pat Welter are in Florida for coverage of Game 3 tonight and Game 4 on Wednesday. And then right after tonight's game, WRAL has the exclusive post-game show. See all the highlights, hear reaction from players and fans, and get our sports team's analysis on where the series stands heading into Game 4.
Today, President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy will negotiate face-to-face again on a deal to raise the nation's debt ceiling. It's a live look at the U.S. Capitol right now, where Congress is running out of time to lift that ceiling and avoid a potential economic collapse. McCarthy and Biden spoke by phone yesterday as Biden was returning from a meeting in Japan. McCarthy wants spending cuts in the federal budget before Republicans agree to raise the debt ceiling. He says their talk yesterday was productive, but there is still work to be done.
Look, there's no agreement on anything. We've all said our piece about where we are, and we're trying to find common ground to get this done.
The U.S. could default on its debts as soon as June 1st if no deal is reached, and that could result in the loss of millions of jobs.
You'll see more law enforcement on the road starting today. It's the official start of North Carolina's Memorial Day Click It or Ticket campaign. The goal of the campaign is to get everyone to wear their seatbelts. State and local officials will be aboard the USS North Carolina Battleship Memorial in Wilmington at 10 o'clock this morning to reinforce that message. The state transportation secretary says Memorial Day is one of the deadliest times on the roads. Click It or Ticket runs through June 4th.
10 after 8 right now on your Monday. Up next, new warning from the NAACP for people planning to visit the state of Florida.
Plus, we'll break down a new study that shows why mosquitoes bite some people and leave others alone.
We have a pretty day on our hands. A little bit cloudy in some spots this morning. That sunshine's breaking through. We'll climb to 82 degrees. And then after that, 70s all the way through the weekend. However, Saturday, it looks like a low could bring some rain. I'll show you the timeline coming up.
8:13 on your sunny Monday morning. You're looking live over the Deep app. You're looking at Durham this morning. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. Sunny today, sunny for much of the week, but the weekend we're looking ahead to, Elizabeth, might be a little rainy this weekend.
I think we've just come to expect it. I think over the last 10 weekends, we've had rain, at least 9 of them. And here we go again. Nice dry week, low humidity, feeling great, but we do have some rain in the forecast for the weekend. Right now, we're focusing on Saturday, but today's Monday, so as we get closer to the holiday weekend, the timing of that could shift, the duration of rain, all those things could change, but things are pointing to some rain again over the weekend. Also tracking the tropics. We don't have anything major that's sitting out there, but there's a little disturbance in the Bahamas. I'll show you that coming up. Here's a live look at Lewisburg. Look at all that blue sky, looking absolutely beautiful. It's just, God, this time of year is so pretty, and this is going to be an amazing week for us. We do have some rain and thunderstorms that are well to our south. This high pressure system is going to keep all this down to the south. It's going to block it all. It's going to move in place over us. And the high pressure system, of course, rotating clockwise, is drawing some cool air in. So our temperatures will be close to or just a little bit below normal for the next several days. Storms are possible, though, for the Memorial Day weekend, especially Saturday. It'll be a cool day on Friday with partly cloudy skies, 73. Right now, Friday looks like it'll stay fairly dry. It's Saturday that looks pretty wet for us with some scattered rain and thunderstorms. It's a coastal low that will spread the rain from the coast inland over us. And then it looks like it moves north on Sunday, but there could be enough lingering moisture, maybe for an isolated shower. Here's a look at Futurecast. This is on Friday. We have a northeasterly flow that's going to keep Friday's temperatures nice and cool in the 70s. And then the low starts to move up the coast. And by Saturday morning, it spreads that rain inland across almost the entire state. You could watch the low continuing to move northward by Sunday morning. Most of that rain is in Virginia, but we may have some wraparound moisture that comes back around as we get into Sunday, maybe an isolated shower or thunderstorm. And then on Monday, it looks like some of that lingers again, maybe for a late day thunderstorm. So more of a summer-like pattern there. So tracking the weekend, Friday looks pretty dry right now. 40% chance on Saturday. Depending on how the computer models handle this over the next several days, you might see this number starting to climb a little bit. Right now, we're going to leave Sunday and Monday at about 20 to 30% with just a chance of a thunderstorm. Tropical outlook, yes, the National Hurricane Center starts to put these out in the middle of May. Hurricane season doesn't officially start until next Thursday, about a week and a half from now, but a little disturbance out there with just a 10% chance of developing. It looks beautiful all the way through Thursday. Our temperatures are pleasant. Our humidity stays low, but of course, we're back into an unsettled pattern for the weekend. Brian?
At 8:16, we are still watching this crash up on the north side of Wake County, a crash with injuries on Creedmoor Road, just north of Norwood Road. Still seeing some very heavy delays on that southbound side of Highway 50 or Creedmoor Road coming in from Highway 98. I found maybe a better alternate route for you this morning. You can take Mount Vernon Church Road down to Norwood Road and then rejoin Highway 50 on the other side of that crash. Still working to get some details about exactly what's going on up there. Some new information about this crash I'm following on the south side of downtown Raleigh, Hammond Road at Hoke Street. It is on the northbound side, so where Hammond Road turns into Person Street, right there at that Hoke Street intersection. And you can see those heavy delays coming in from I-40 heading up into downtown Raleigh. Consider hopping on down to the South Saunders Street interchange in can use that to get into the south part of downtown Raleigh. On the north side of Raleigh, it looks like that earlier crash at Capitol at Spring Forest likely has cleared at this point. We're not seeing any big delays. Also getting reports of a crash on 440 eastbound right around the Wade Avenue interchange, but I'm not seeing any big backups right now. In Durham, we're looking good. I-40 westbound, no big delays as you head through Durham back toward Chapel Hill. The eastbound side also clear, and both directions of 885 are looking good there on the east side of Durham.
All right, thank you, Brian. The woman linked to a case of suspected road rage on NC State's Centennial campus is scheduled to be in court this week. Court records show 31-year-old Julia Johnson is scheduled to appear before a judge on Thursday. University police accused Johnson of intentionally hitting a person on a motorcycle twice with her car on April 25th. She was arrested several days later. Johnson faces charges including aggravated assault, reckless driving, and hit and run.
There's another name on the list of Republicans running for president in 2024. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott plans to officially kick off his campaign today. Scott is the only black Republican in the Senate. He is expected to join a crowded field that already includes former President Donald Trump and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, among others. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is expected to enter the race later this week.
City leaders in Uvalde, Texas will hold a press conference today, just 2 days before the one-year anniversary of the school shooting at Robb Elementary School. A gunman killed 19 children and 2 teachers last year. The city's mayor says May 24th will be a difficult day. No city activities will happen this week, and the city council will not hold its weekly meeting to allow residents a chance to reflect on what happened and grieve in private.
A massive fire broke out at Manila's historic Central Post Office late Sunday. Firefighters worked for over 7 hours to get the flames under control. The post office was first built in 1926 before being severely damaged during the Second World War and rebuilt 20 years later.
The NAACP says people of color should not travel to Florida. The group issued a formal travel advisory over the weekend, saying the state has become hostile to black Americans under the leadership of Governor Ron DeSantis. The NAACP says it issued the statement in response to DeSantis' efforts to remove African American studies from Florida schools and his work to dismantle diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. DeSantis has not responded to the advisory. The League of United Latin American Citizens has issued a similar advisory.
Many of us associate summertime with more than just fun in the sun. It also means itching and scratching, those pesky mosquito bites. But what attracts them to some people more than others? A new report reveals the different chemicals in body odor attract them. And researchers found mosquitoes are most attracted to airborne carboxylic acids. Now, that includes a compound present in stinky cheeses. At the same time, the insects deemed to be deterred by the chemical eucalyptol, which is present in plants. And take a look at this. Racing is back. North Wilkesboro Speedway. The track hosted the 2023 NASCAR All-Star Race and all the events that came with it for the weekend. It was hosting NASCAR races for years before stopping in the 1990s. The Speedway received millions of dollars from the state budget a couple years back, and they used that money to restore the track to its former glory. Hosted that big event yesterday and make some upgrades to the track as well. Kyle Larson won the race.
2, 1, engines full power, and liftoff, Falcon 9, go Axiom.
There it goes. A private mission set to arrive at the International Space Station this morning is already making history. This SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket took off yesterday from the Kennedy Space Center. Houston-based company Axiom Space launched the mission called Freedom. It's led by former NASA astronaut Peggy Whitson, making her the first woman to command a private space mission. The crew also includes 2 Saudi astronauts who will be the first from their country to visit the ISS. Docking is set for 9:24 this morning, just about an hour from now, for this 10-day mission.
There's a new study that shows New York City is sinking. Researchers from the U.S. Geological Survey say in a study that the nation's largest city is gradually falling in on itself. It is sinking from the weight of its buildings. The study says it is sinking at 1 to 2 millimeters every year.
Florida can't sink. What's going on? My goodness.
It is an island.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true. All right, coming up, thousands of North Carolina kids struggle with reading, and experts say it's because a lot of them have been taught bad habits.
About 2 in 5 third graders aren't meeting state standards for reading. 3 in 5 fourth graders don't meet federal standards either. Now, that is leading to changes in North Carolina classrooms, as WRAL's Education Insider has been digging into this issue. For the full story and for ways parents can help their kids build reading skills, you can visit the education section of WRAL.com. Still need a COVID-19 vaccine? You can sign up to get one in Johnston County. The county public health department says appointments are available starting today. The shots are free, regardless of health insurance or immigration status. You must make an appointment, though, and you can do that by visiting johnstonnc.com/health.
Coming up next, what we expect to learn today about a plane crash that killed a pilot in Orange County.
And the Canes are hoping for redemption tonight, taking on the Florida Panthers. It's Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Final. We'll break down what they need to do to pull off a win.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good Monday morning. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey with your top stories. Brian Schrader tracking a couple of crashes around our area this morning, Brian.
The most significant crash I'm following right now is on the north side of Wake County on Highway 50 or Creedmoor Road, just north of Norwood Road. Seeing some pretty heavy delays on that southbound side of Highway 50 coming in from 98. You could use Mount Vernon Church Road to get down to Norwood and then rejoin Highway 50 on the other side of that delay. Also look out for a crash on the south side of downtown Raleigh, Hammond Road at Hoke Street. This is on the northbound side where Hammond Road turns into Person Street. Consider using South Saunders as a good alternate route from I-40. Looking good elsewhere around Wake County with major routes into Raleigh, all clear. And in Durham, we're not really picking up any problems on major routes, Elizabeth.
We had some lingering moisture in the atmosphere from overnight last night, and it is bringing a little bit of haziness to the sky, but generally today is going to be lovely. This is a live look at Sanford. You can see a little bit of cloud cover still hanging over downtown Sanford. We'll see the temperatures climbing on up into the low 60s now. Over the next little bit, we'll climb into the upper 70s by lunchtime and into the low 80s for highs this afternoon. Our humidity stays low. It's going to be lovely for walking the dog this evening. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock temperatures are in the upper 70s. Coming up, we're going to take a closer look at the weekend and our chances for rain.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. The FAA is expected to release its preliminary report today on 2 plane crashes that happened just hours apart. The first happened near Rougemont yesterday and left the pilot dead. 2 hours later in Warren County, one person was severely burned in a separate crash. Coming up next on Fox 50, a Harnett County deputy will make his first court appearance this morning. And then next on Today, a little boy's viral morning routine. He's live in studio to break it all down.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
We're expecting to learn more today about 2 plane crashes that happened just several hours and miles apart. Federal investigators are working to figure out what caused those planes to go down.
We're going to take a live look at Lewisburg. Beautiful blue sky here. We've got a gorgeous day in our forecast. That will continue for most of the week. But looking at the weekend, we're back to a chance of rain. And I'll show you.
I'm Gilbert Bays at Fort Bragg, where All-American Week is underway. I'll show you what it's like when 18,000 paratroopers go on a 4-mile run.
It is quite a sight. There is no question about that. We enjoyed seeing it this morning. Gilbert will be back to join us in just a moment. I'm Jeff Hogan. Good to have you with us.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Starting off our week sunny, a little sunny, right? Breaking through the clouds this morning at Dix Park. It's going to be a pretty nice week overall. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner with a look over Fayetteville this morning. Sunny there, too.
Yeah, that's a good question. We do have some moisture in the atmosphere, so it looks a little bit hazy right now. But as we get through the next few hours, we're going to see more and more of that blue sky. This is a live look at Fayetteville, of course. Not right where Gilbert Bays is, but I can't wait to see that view of the 18,000 paratroopers. That is amazing. 60 degrees right now around the Triangle area. We did have some lower visibility this morning around Southern Pines and Fayetteville. You can see visibilities at 4 miles. Still just a little bit of lingering moisture in the atmosphere down there for just some thin cloud cover. 62 in South Hill is 61 in Fayetteville, 58 in Southern Pines. So it's still a cool morning out there, but our temperatures warm up fast. We climb to 79 by lunchtime, and we'll see highs in the low 80s for this afternoon. We will cut and paste this all the way to Friday, but of course, when we get to the weekend, we have a chance of a low that could bring us some rain Saturday. I'll show you coming up, Brian.
It is 8:32 right now, and we are following a crash in the northern part of Wake County. This is on Creedmoor Road, right around Norwood Road, and we are seeing some pretty heavy delays on that southbound side of Highway 50 coming in from Highway 98. You can see the backup showing up there on the sensors. An alternate route for you this morning as they work to get this cleared would be Mount Vernon Church Road. You can take that down to Norwood Road and rejoin Highway 50 on the other side of those delays. That might save you a little bit of time this morning, or if you're coming in from the Wake Forest area, you might consider using Six Forks Road. It's a good alternate from Highway 98 down to 540.
All right, thank you, Brian. Today, we expect to learn more about two plane crashes that happened just hours apart. The first one happened in Orange County, New Rougemont. Just over 2 hours later, another plane went down about 50 miles away in Warren County. WRAL's Laura Levine explains what we expect to find in today's reports from federal investigators.
Today, we could learn some key details about this crash with the preliminary reports coming in today. Now, the plane landed in between some trees in a wooded area off of NC 157 in Rougemont. The only person on board was the pilot, and we do know that he died in this crash. Get a look at the Sky 5 video of the wreckage. It shows where the plane crashed around 12:15 yesterday afternoon next to this open field. Through the trees there, you can see a blue tarp over some of that wreckage. The Federal Aviation Administration tells us it's a single-engine Beechcraft 35. And just over 50 miles away in Warren County, another plane crash sent a person to the hospital with severe burns. And that crash happened around 2:45 p.m. The FAA says that single-engine plane crashed while it was leaving from the Nacarva Airport in Macon. Here in Orange County, there's still some remaining questions. It's unclear where that plane was coming from or where it was headed, and the identity of the pilot has not been released. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Orange County.
A Harnett County deputy indicted in a crash that killed a husband and wife is scheduled to appear in court today. Deputy Kevin Letarte faces a charge of involuntary manslaughter in the death of Brian and Patricia Finch. Investigators say Letarte was chasing Jimmy White Jr. on March 3rd when the deputy crashed into the couple. A woman who says she saw the couple seconds before that crash happened spoke only on WRAL.
I actually remember looking at their face and they were laughing, and then they actually looked kind of like a split second to make sure that they could go through, and they went, and then that cop come out of nowhere.
An attorney representing the Finches says a wrongful death lawsuit is possible. Deputy Letarte said through his lawyer he is saddened by the loss of life. As for White, he's facing felony charges. He's also expected to be in court today.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center this morning, police in Washington State are looking for a suspected shooter who opened fire outside a bar in Federal Way. This is new video into our newsroom from that scene. The shooting, police say, killed two women who worked at the bar and a third victim, a man who was a patron at that bar. Investigators believe the shooting was the result of an earlier dispute between the suspected shooter, who, again, police say remains on the run. This incident remains under investigation.
Happening now, All-American Week is underway at Fort Bragg. The week-long celebration gives paratroopers a chance to celebrate their service and remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice. WRAL's Gilbert Bays is joining us live this morning from the post where the festivities are in full swing. Gilbert.
Yeah, Renee, I was stationed here back in 1978 and part of the 35th Signal Group, which was right down the street from the 82nd Airborne Division. This started in 1986, All-American Week. It's how they kick off things before they head into the Memorial Day weekend. They ran this morning here on Longstreet Road. You see the road is open right now. But as Tommy Suter would say, let's go to the videotape and show you what it was like when 18,000 paratroopers were making their run this morning. An awful lot of enthusiasm for those paratroopers as they make this traditional run. As you mentioned, this is about the legacy and history of the 82nd Airborne Division. We're known as America's Guard of Honor. When Fort Bragg is deployed around the world, many times members of the 82nd Airborne Division are the spearhead of that force that goes ahead of the major units that will follow behind. So this run kicks off everything. After this run this morning, there's going to be some sports competition that's going to be happening a little bit later on. And a lot of the veterans come back. I caught back up this morning with retired General Arnold Gordon. He lives up in Rocky Mountain, brought the mayor from Rocky Mountain down here. And I asked him, sir, when you look at these guys run, could you do what they're doing right now?
I look at these flat-bellied, barrel-chested men and women, and I'm impressed. They always remind me that our best generation is still yet to come.
And that's the legacy of the 82nd Airborne Division. They have family members and friends who are coming back here. I want to point out, Renee, that this event that's happening on post right now, the sports competition, the pass review, everything is open to the public. If you can get on Fort Bragg, you are invited to take part in All-American Week here at Fort Bragg. Last time I'm going to say that because next year I'll say we're here at Fort Liberty with All-American Week.
That's right. Such a cool way to honor everybody and to celebrate. Gilbert Bay is live in Fayetteville. Thanks, Gilbert.
Carolina Hurricanes are facing a huge uphill climb in the Eastern Conference Final of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's an all-important Game 3 in Florida tonight. Canes are down 2-0 in this series. They lost both games 1-2 at home in overtime at PNC. Puck drop for tonight's game against Florida, 8 o'clock on TNT. Coming up in less than 10 minutes, WRAL's Casey Hintz and Pat Welter will break down what the Canes need to do tonight to get back into this thing. 8:38 is the time right now on your Monday morning, and the man accused of choking another man to death on a New York subway is responding to the accusations against him. What Daniel Penny is saying to those who are calling him a white supremacist as he prepares to face a charge of manslaughter.
And again, the Canes are hoping for redemption tonight as they take on the Florida Panthers for Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll break down what they need to do to pull off that win.
.841 is the timer down your Monday morning. This is a live look, a new addition to our WRAL Live Cam network. White Lake right there. Either all the boats are gone or nobody's getting in the water just yet today, but it is peaceful out there for sure. Much more peaceful start to our week this week. Elizabeth Gardner of WRAL Severe Weather Center. Game on.
Yeah, game on. Right here, of course, at the DBAP this week, they're hosting the ACC Baseball Championship. So we'll probably see some activity here as we pull this camera up from time to time, especially during the noon newscast. But all's quiet, looking beautiful out there this morning. Our temperature currently 60 in the Triangle. Our dew point a very comfortable 55 degrees. We climb into the low 80s for highs this afternoon. Our visibility continues to improve across our area this morning, even though we started off with a little patchy fog down in the Sandhills. Down to our south, you can see a lot of rain along a stationary front just north of that low pressure system. High pressure that's up to our north and west will continue to build down and hold that rain to our south. So we do not have rain in our forecast up until at least Friday. High pressure rotating clockwise also drags down some cooler air. So it's going to be nice and cool. Look at all the cool air in the southern half of the country. The blue color contours are temperatures below normal. The yellow is temperatures above normal. And we see the blue color contours hanging out with us. That high pressure system continues to keep us in that northerly, almost northeasterly flow, keeping our temperatures nice and cool, and it keeps our humidity low too. Around town today, 82 in Raleigh and Durham, 84 in Fayetteville with mostly sunny skies. That's going to be the warmest day that we see all week. Our humidity stays nice and low in the 50s. If you think about, you remember how sticky and miserable it can be in July and August. At that point, our dew points are way up in the 70s. So down here in the 50s feels very very comfortable for this time of year. A lot of that is because our humidity will, of course, stay low. We have high pressure that's feeding in some drier air, and another front actually drops through late Wednesday into Thursday, bringing another push of even drier air, so even lower humidity into the day on Thursday. Temperatures are pleasant, 82 today. We're looking at 70s. Friday's 73 degrees, so really pleasantly cool. And we could continue to see these below normal temperatures all the way through the end of this month. For the 27th through the 31st, we're still looking at below normal temperatures. Maybe that will continue into June. We'll take it. Normally, we're seeing some 90-degree days by now. Our normal first 90-degree day at RDU is May 11th, the latest June 27th. I'm sure we're not going to keep it until June 27th before we see a 90-degree day, but I'll tell you what, this week looks incredible. Now, we do get to the weekend with a chance of some rain. You know it, just in time for the holiday weekend. A low may move up the coast and spread some rain across our area on Saturday. So keep checking back, and we'll be watching the timeline for that this weekend.
And this is exciting here at the WRAL Live Center. We want to take you to these live pictures courtesy of NASA this morning. Of course, this is a private mission set to arrive at the International Space Station in about, let's say, maybe the next half hour or so. This is a Falcon 9 SpaceX rocket. It took off from Kennedy Space Center yesterday. The Houston-based Axiom Space launched the mission called Freedom. Now, it is led by former NASA astronaut Peggy Whitson, making her the first woman to command a private space mission. Again, these are live pictures. That docking is scheduled for about 9:15 this morning. Of course, we'll have it for you in our next hour of news right here on Fox 50.
Very exciting. Thank you, Ken. The man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students is set to be arraigned this morning. This comes as we're learning new details about what he did in the days before they were killed. Dana Griffin has the latest.
A much-anticipated return to court for accused murderer Bryan Kohberger in the unsettling University of Idaho murders case.
Bryan, did you do it?
On November 13th, 2022, 4 friends, Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, were stabbed to death inside this off-campus rental home in Moscow, Idaho. According to court documents, Kohberger's DNA was found on a knife sheath at the crime scene. And in a recent Dateline exclusive, a source with inside knowledge of the investigation says detectives have found evidence that several months before the murders, Kohberger went on Amazon to buy a K-bar knife and sheath. Greg Cooper is a retired FBI profiler who has studied killers of multiple victims.
They don't wake up in the morning and go out and commit a crime like this. No. And so there have been most likely crimes committed in the past.
In the fall of 2022, the Dateline source claims Kohberger had befriended a classmate at Washington State University who returned to her apartment to find someone had broken in and moved her belongings around. The source says she called Kohberger, who volunteered to install a video security system. After the installation, the source says police believe if Kohberger was close enough to the apartment, he could pull up the security cameras himself because he knew the woman's Wi-Fi password. Kohberger is now considered a strong suspect in the break-in, according to the source. The parents of Kaylee Gonzalez are expected to be in court Monday. Now, with an indictment issued, experts say the surviving roommates will not need to testify in front of Kohberger twice.
I cannot imagine what those surviving witnesses and victims are feeling and what their families are feeling for them.
Kohberger is expected to plead not guilty. Once he enters a plea, the state has 60 days to seek the death penalty.
A former Marine is speaking up for the first time 3 weeks after being seen choking a man to death on a New York City subway. And we want to warn you, this video is disturbing to watch, so you can look away now if you don't want to see it. Daniel Penny is seen choking Jordan Neely. He is now charged with second-degree manslaughter. In an interview with the New York Post, Penny said his actions had nothing to do with race and dismissed accusations that he's a white supremacist. He also suggested he would take action again under similar circumstances. Penny did not say what led to the deadly encounter, but his lawyers say he acted in self-defense. Neely's family says he suffered from mental illness. If convicted, Penny could face up to 15 years in prison.
Durham's first quarter crime report is out and shows reports of rape are up almost 39% in the first 3 months of 2023. The chief says 40 of those rapes occurred in prior years, and victims are now just coming forward. Damian Talley, the executive director of Durham Crisis Response Center, says it's critical that victims know they have support.
Making sure that people are aware of all the work that has to be done and all the resources that are available to them makes them more likely to come forward so that we can put those individuals perpetrating these acts where they need to be, but also make sure that they're aware that there's support for them wherever they need to be.
Talley says the Crisis Response Center is available for anyone who needs help.
Today, Nebraska is expected to become the latest state to enact a strict abortion ban. Governor Jim Pillen plans to sign a bill passed by the state legislature that bans abortions after 12 weeks, with exceptions for sexual assault, incest, and medical emergencies. The bill also will place restrictions on gender-affirming care for minors.
The Carolina Hurricanes are facing an uphill climb in the Eastern Conference Final after back-to-back losses. Tonight, they face an all-important Game 3 in Florida. WRAL's Casey Hintz and Pat Welter are there with what the Canes need to do to get back into the series.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Casey Hintz alongside Pat Welter. And as the old saying goes, the sun will rise in the morning. And for the Carolina Hurricanes here in Sunrise, Florida, that means a new day and a chance to get back in this series tonight in Game 3, Pat.
That pun was just sitting there for you. And so has this series. I mean, these games have been so close, Casey. I do feel like the Panthers have been a little bit better, a little bit more skilled, a little bit more physical. Sergei Bobrovsky, obviously amazing in net. But at the same time, an inch under the crossbar or maybe a centimeter on sides, we're having a very different conversation right now.
A tweak here and there, but you're not reinventing the wheel this time of year. So that's the mindset heading into tonight.
So you have to be careful not to try to blow everything up and think that, oh, it's, you know, it's not working. But we do obviously, we'll tweak things here and there, but we come this far, we're not going to be, suddenly changing our game.
Now, one change that Rod Brindamore did like, Casey, was putting Mackenzie McEachern into the lineup. He was on that play that set up the Jack Drury goal that got overturned. Brindamore said he really liked McEachern's energy.
Yeah, a big body that brings a jolt to this lineup. We'll see what happens tonight as we've got puck drop from here, Sunrise, Florida, shortly after 8 p.m. But for now, Casey Hintz, Pat Welter, WRAL Sports.
An American held captive in Russia since 2018 says he believes he'll return home soon. Paul Whelan spoke with CNN about his situation. He says he's confident his case remains a priority for the U.S. government. The Marine veteran is serving a 16-year sentence after Russia accused him of spying. The State Department says it is working to secure his release.
Brittany Griner is back playing basketball in front of her home fans.
Welcome home, number 42.
Griner got a hero's welcome last night as she was introduced before the Phoenix Mercury's home opener. Griner was jailed in Russia for nearly a year after police found vape cartridges containing cannabis oil in her luggage in Moscow. She was released in a prisoner swap in December.
The Ocracoke Express is getting back on the water. The ferry's summer schedule will begin tomorrow. This will be the 5th season of the ferry service between Hatteras and Ocracoke Islands. It can carry up to 129 passengers on each of its 3 daily round trips.
Now look at this, a retirement nightmare. A Raleigh couple had their lives flipped upside down and plummeted into debt after an error went unchecked by the state for years.
I said he won't never live to pay that back.
What did they say?
She said, well, we'll take it as long as we can.
5 on your sides. Keely Arthur explains why the statute of limitations for debt does not apply in certain cases and why anyone involved with the state's retirement fund should verify their payout is correct.
If you found yourself refreshing your Instagram feed over and over again only to see old content, you're not alone. There was a worldwide outage. But this morning, services have been restored. Social media app's parent company Meta says it was due to technical issues on Sunday. The widespread outage began just after 5 p.m. and lasted nearly 2 hours.
Well, check this out. Rihanna is getting the attention of Carolina Panthers fans after the superstar singer was spotted wearing a Panthers number 95 jersey. This is video of her in Tokyo over the weekend. The Panthers official Twitter account posted this. Of course, it sent Panthers fans into a frenzy. I mean, it's Rihanna. She's queen. And I mean, to wear the Panthers jersey, that's pretty cool to see.
It doesn't matter where she is wearing
Exactly.
it. Just the fact that she's got Panthers colors on. Yeah, it's a big deal. Imagine they're going crazy.
Way to represent North Carolina. We love it. All right, before we go to break, here are the winning lottery numbers. We'll get another check on weather and traffic next.